Alright everyone, welcome back. So I've just completed the Season 11 Manhunt target chunks, and I wanted to make this video about the story elements of chunks, and also up to this point, and also just talk about what those story elements may be pointing towards for the end of this season, also going into the future. So, you know, spoiler warning, I guess, because I'm going to be talking briefly about what we learned today from the Manhunt target completion. The other thing I just wanted to briefly mention, actually, before we get into the lore stuff, is I believe the maintenance was completed yesterday for the Division 2, which got rid of the apparel event, and we do have the Resident Evil apparel event coming up, I believe, in the next week or so. That was an apparel event I actually didn't get much from, because I think at the time at least I wasn't able to. So that's going to be probably an apparel event I'll go back to and have a look at and see if there's anything perhaps that I want. I know a lot of people have been asking for that to come back, so yeah, really good that that's coming back, because initially when Season 11 launched, I remember going through the roadmap for Season 11 and it only had like one apparel event, which is one less than normally. Normally we'd have two, so it's nice to have Resident Evil come back, an event that I think a lot of people are gonna want to get involved in. So yeah, there we go with that. But yeah, let's talk about the story today. There's no script to this, guys, so I'm just going to go straight into it. What I did before I actually played through chunks and today's Manhunt is I went back and listened to some of the communication from the other targets for this year, and just to kind of remember what happened, because it's easy to forget when you've got a couple of weeks between each target. It's easy to forget what happened in the previous target and the ones before that, at least for me anyway. I don't know if that's maybe that's showing my age a little bit. I'm not totally sure, but yeah, I always kind of forget a little bit, so I always go back and kind of refresh my memory before I jump into the latest lore. I can't believe I'm actually becoming more of a lore person in respect of the Division, because it's not something that I really ever get involved in any game, except for some of my more favourite games like Destiny, and the Division more recently in terms of lore. It's been something that I've been more involved in, especially because I think the lore is actually getting pretty good at the moment, and today was an addition to that. So after taking out chunks, the whole thing for Season 11 appears to be talking about, before I talk about chunks, appears to be talking about this kind of dirty bomb. It's talking about some members, I think it's the Outcasts, going with the rogue agents, and something to do with a dirty bomb being made in St. Louis. There's this whole premise around whether this is a rumor or not. A lot of the Manhunt targets, they talk about, is this a rumor? Is this, is this true? I think there's a famous saying, I can't remember what it was, from a really good film, Inglorious, and I'll let B word, I won't say it because YouTube and whatnot, where at the start of that film, where he talks about rumours generally are quite revealing, and in most of the time if you hear a rumour, it didn't just come out of thin air, there is some premise to it, and that's kind of what's said leading up to chunks in today's Manhunt target. And after beating the Manhunt target and then obviously going back and listening to the comms, it talks about St. Louis again. It talks about the fact that there's this dirty bomb. It talks about whether this is a rumor or not, and that in of itself is pretty much a whole video. I know that a lot of people have already talked about that themselves. I think Rogue Gold made a video talking about St. Louis and some other stuff. I think it ties into some of the novels. I think it was maybe the Recruited novel that was released. It's nice to see that the novels and all the other stuff is kind of tying itself in. I mean, even the Division Heartland, for example, Heartland itself, that word ties into the Division 2. So it all kind of tying itself in. And this whole Season 11 has been talking about St. Louis, and there's some real kind of excitement about the fact that we may or may not be visiting St. Louis in a future DLC, or maybe just a future location. Not totally sure. Now, from what I know about Year 5, which is little, very little, we aren't going to St. Louis in Year 5, is my understanding. I could be wrong on that. I do believe that there is no map addition in Year 5. Again, I could be wrong, because this is information I got quite a long time ago, so things obviously change. But with that said, it's certainly possible that at some point we get kind of like a a St. Louis DLC, and yeah, I'd be up for that definitely. I think Warlords, for example, was a big thing for the Division 2, and I think it made a lot of people come into the game, made a lot of people leave eventually, but it did a lot for the game. And I think another DLC would certainly do a lot for this game as well, so long as there's stuff attached to it, of course. So hearing about St. Louis again in today's comms was really interesting, because they really seem to be talking about that a lot. But it could just be that it's a rumor. And they talk about the White House, they talk about Schaefer, they talk about the fact that they've been monitoring the White House, and they've been seeing stuff go into the White House. I think they captured a cook who was obviously preparing stuff for someone in the White House, but they were never able to see that person. So this person, who we know as Schaefer, was strictly under kind of only a few people could see that person. They were watching certain people go into the White House with specific kind of medicines. So the idea is that they believe that Schaefer is at the White House, or at least someone of importance, and they are alluding to the fact that it is Schaefer, which we know it is. And so Natalia does say in the comms that it would be kind of a stupid idea. It would be a really bad to kind of just go into the White House and attack the White House and take Schaefer. You'd be signing your own death certificate, basically. But this whole rumor around the fact that there is this dirty bomb in St. Louisville, there's the possibility that Natalia, with the stovepipe being the main manhunt target, there's the possibility that somehow, some way, Natalia makes this rumor become more and more, and we learn about it more and more, and she ties it to stovepipe in some way to lead us away from the White House, so that they are able to attack the White House. Now, I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I do know that this is something that was talked about previously. I know a lot of people, myself included, had recently said that I would love to take back the White House. This is something I've been asking for a long time, and Bard and Schaefer would be a really good reason for Massive to introduce that to the game. It would give it would give Natalia something to go for, and of course with this rumour circulating, it would give us a reason to leave the White House, or at least more than just us, but probably a couple of other people, because if you're talking about a dirty bomb, that's obviously going to be substantial, because they start talking about other stuff in the comms to do with like DC-62 and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it could take us away. They could attack the White House, and I think maybe this is the first time this season they've talked about certainly in today's comms, it was the first time I think they talked about actually going to the White House or taking back the White House, and it was shot down by Natalia. But I really think that could be coming with season 11. It would certainly end season 11 on a really high note if we had to take back the White House. This is something that I know we've all been asking for a long time, and it would make sense with season 11 as well, because we've already got the castle settlement, something that we've all been asking for to come back. That's obviously been done this season. Taking back the White House, I know, is a plot point that a lot of people have wanted for a long time. That would be great this season. And I also think that it would possibly, they could put a cliffhanger in there for year 5. I don't know what that would be. Would they take Bard and Schaefer? I don't know. Would they perhaps kidnap someone else? That's someone that's really important to us. Calso, someone like that. That's really important to the story. Possibly. I don't really know, but I think they're going to leave it on a cliffhanger, and I see no reason why, based on the comms that we've heard today, no reason why that we wouldn't be going after Stovepipe and Natalia kind of looking at coming to the White House. We'll obviously have to see what the next manhunt target says, and then follow that with Stovepipe. But I really think that that's a possibility, and I'm excited for that. But there we go, guys. I just wanted to talk about that in today's video. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. If that is the story, if that is what happens, that will be awesome. So I know Massive can't, they've already got it kind of planned, so there's not like I can say, look, can we have this happen this season? But if it is that, or if it's not that, then I would highly recommend something like that in the future, because I really think that people are going to enjoy that. And I can see that the lore itself, whilst I don't believe the manhunt missions themselves are any better really than they used to be, they're really quite easy to go through. The lore itself and the story itself is really developing quite nicely, and I think taking back the White House would really give us something to kind of tide us over from year 4 to year 5. It would really leave us kind of, it's certainly in the story, like you know, what is going on. You know, especially if someone's been kidnapped, that's really important to the story. Anyway, guys, that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Drop a like, subscribe. Until the next one, epic out.